Growing largely out of club night low-end theory founded by producer Daddy Kev and shaped by artists like Flying Lotus and Tokimonsta, the LA beat scene is known for fusing experimental electronic styles with hip-hop elements. We talk to beat scene artist Astronautica on the back of her second album release, Gemini, and look at her creative and technical processes when building a track.
Hello, my name is Edrina. I go by the name Astronautica. I've been making music, producing music for about 4 years now. It all started when I started getting into the Los Angeles beat scene. I started going to Low End Theory. This was back in about 2011, which, you know, the scene had already been around for a few years at that point, but that's just when I started getting into it. And I was just so inspired by, you know, what I was seeing and the performances I was, you know, being a part of being at Low End Theory. I literally just went onto my laptop one night and was like, you know what, I want to start making music. Where do I begin? And I think at that point, you know, I didn't really know what Ableton was, but I saw that I had GarageBand on my MacBook, and I was like, well, I'm going to play around with this. And so it kind of started there, and then, you know, I also had a friend who is a producer DJ, who I kind of talked to a little bit, who kind of mentored me in the beginning and, you know, showed me the ropes with Ableton, kind of gave me like a crash course, like 101 real quick. And then from there, a lot of it was, you know, watching tutorials on YouTube. Like, I would stay up till like 4 in the morning just learning anything I could. And I mean, I'm still the same way. Like, I'm still staying up super early watching tutorials like all the time. But you know, that's really where it started. And then, you know, from there, I was just putting my music up on SoundCloud. You know, a few months after, however long it was, I got an email from Daddy Kev asking if I wanted to play at Low End Theory. And so, you know, I had been going to Low End Theory religiously, like every week, every Wednesday I was there. And so, you know, when that happened, that was kind of just like, oh my God, what? I can't believe it. And yeah, so I performed. I opened up for Baths, which is, you know, a huge inspiration of mine. And that was just a really cool feeling because it was my first time ever playing something like that. And the line was literally wrapped around the block, and I was like kind of freaking out. But it was a really cool place for me to start and to perform. You know, I think I'd performed before that a couple times, but like being able to play my music in front of the type of audience that does attend Low End Theory was just really a great feeling because the people who go like are really there for the music. And so I wasn't playing like club bangers. I was playing, you know, just real down-tempo, chill music, and the vibe that was coming off of the audience was really, you know, was really like a welcoming feel. Like I didn't feel like, oh gosh, I need to like turn this up right now. Like, they were really into it, which was, you know, motivation for me to kind of just keep going. Because yeah, if they were into it, that was, you know, cool, because at first I was really just making music for myself. And so to see their response, you know, a positive response, yeah, like I said, like that was just motivation to keep on going. After that night, Kev had come up to me and just asked if I was, you know, working on anything, if I wanted to be working on an album. And pretty much from there, we just started emailing back and forth, and I was sending him music, and then we put together Replay last night, and yeah, that was my first album. I was, you know, I think a few months after that, I was signing with Alpha Pup, and a few months after that, we had put out my first LP. So I'm really excited for this one. It's called Gemini. So it's a lot different than my first album, in my opinion. With this one, I was really trying to do something a little bit different, while still maintaining like the Astronautica aesthetic that is, you know, that you can hear in my first album. So like I was saying, my first album, it was really more of like a down-tempo, chill type of album. And this one, I was really experimenting with, you know, different sounds, my voice, different types of genres that I could, you know, mess around with. You know, there's a lot of, you know, house influences, R&B influences, indie influences, which are all of my favorite genres of music. So I was really trying to do all of that while still having it be my sound. So yeah, I'm messing around with my vocals a little bit more on this one. And then I, you know, used to play the guitar as a kid, and luckily it stayed with me. So I play the guitar on a lot of my tracks, if not all of them. And a lot of the times what I'm doing with that is converting the audio to MIDI, which is cool because before Ableton 9 you couldn't really do that. So I was trying to go about, you know, other ways to make it sound like something else, like I was talking to you about earlier, where now I can just really play a number of notes and then turn my guitar into a trumpet or something, you know. And I played guitar on Replay last night, my first album, but I played it in a way that I played it and sampled it so much and put so many effects on it so that where it didn't sound like a guitar anymore. And I was going for that sound, you know, like, yeah, just manipulating it to the point where it sounded completely different. Like you didn't even, like, what? That's a guitar? How is that a guitar? With this album, I'm playing the guitar for the guitar. Like I'm playing the chords, I'm soloing more. So that's another thing, you know, that's new with this album and with this sound. So with this track, I was again, you know, really playing around in my voice, really working with it, and you know, writing more is something that I really want to do as well. So with this song, I'm really, you know, taking advantage of that and of my voice and really trying to utilize it as much as I can. You know, my favorite songs of mine that I make are the ones that just come to me, like in the middle of the night. You know, I'm just sitting there. You know, I wasn't even expecting to like complete a song as much as I did that night. I was kind of just like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, start something. Maybe I can like, you know, mess around with the sound. I ended up having like the entire like song pretty much finished that night. I stayed up very, very late that night. So I'm using a lot of different chords, really like minor chords and stuff. It's very R&B influenced. I have some trappy style drum patterns in this song as well. And yeah, I'm just, you know, messing around with my favorite synths. I'm really a big fan of xylophones, so I'm playing with that a little bit in the song too. And I, you know, just got the Launchpad Pro, and so this was the first song I completed using this. And you know, before this, I was using a bunch of other MIDI controllers to achieve the same effect. So I think this song just really flowed in a lot more naturally and intuitively because it was all here kind of in one. So you know, the completion of the song, I think, is kind of due to me having more of like an intuitive device to kind of create it. It just flows a lot more naturally when I'm playing it, you know, on the Launchpad opposed to on a keyboard. And then I'm also using the Akai APC 40 MK2 for my live set. I also have a live bass that sometimes I like to play, you know, to kind of give it more of a live element. For this song, Crush, usually when I'm starting a song, I like to find a sound or some kind of instrument that I can, you know, build chords with, build a harmony, and then usually I can hear a melody it's easier for me to hear a melody when I have that chord progression. So for Crush, I just used an Ableton instrument, the Basilica lute, and I just made a simple, chord progression here. And I have an auto filter on it, so it's kind of giving it that, you know, low pass to high pass effect. And I'm also having this peak right here, so it also gives it like a sweeping sound. And then after 12 bars, I bring in the beat. So for the drum rack here, I usually, you know, use a template that has a kick, a snare, hi-hats, and I usually draw those in. But for this one, I was really vibing to just like playing it all in a drum rack. And I was really attracted to just like some hip-hop sounding drum samples that I used here. And then here, I really like the effect the reverse snare has, like reverse snare with like a lot of reverb into a snare. Like I feel like it gives it a really good build-up and a really strong finish, you know, the snare being the finish. And that's here what I did with the drums. And then here with the synth, this is gonna like, oh, and with the build-up here, this one. What I did with that was I transposed these snares just to kind of give it that, and again, another build, like, I transposed it, you know, 3, 5, and 7. And then it kind of, you know, leads you into the drop chorus part right here. And then with the synths, I used, you know, just like some chord sounds with a lot of compression, a lot of side chaining to the kick. So. And I gave it like a nice little space effect here, about 65%. And it has some chorus on it as well. And then here is another like type of reverse synth sound. So it's also leading up to that like strong finish like I was talking about. But instead of using the reverse snare, I kind of switch up the sounds to give it more of a variety throughout the track. So happy to hear this. Kind of just gives it motion and movement. And then I'm a big fan of the massive VST, and I'm using the xylophone preset here. And with this, it has like no attack, and it's just, or short attack, and a little bit of delay, but I kind of kept it, you know, the way it came in the preset. And then here, I'm using, again, the Launchpad for to play the guitar. Kind of gives it that nice distorted guitar sound, which is good for me because sometimes, you know, I'm not in the studio with my guitar, like I'm somewhere else and this is all I have. So this does really well in that type of situation. And here I'm just kind of compressing it, very like not that much. And then here with the bass, I layered the bass so I have like a, you know, classic sine wave operator sound. And then on top I have like a more crunchy sound with like, with also again like a little bit of a distortion on that bass, kind of just to give it like a fuller, crunchier sound. And here I have the EQ on the operator so that all the highs are out and just kind of just focus more on the lows and the mids. And then this tech bass here, it's an Ableton instrument. It kind of gives it that higher frequency because of that crunch. So it kind of, you know, has a more full sound. Here in my vocal group, I'm using Nectar. And so all of these, my verse, my bridge, and my harmony, it's all running through this channel with this VST on it. And I kind of give it a slight pitch shift, so it's about an octave higher than my voice. And I've put it in D minor. And a lot of the times, I like that female vintagey sound. So there's some saturation on. I put a pretty good amount. And I give it like that retro feeling here. And there's some delay on this as well. Not too much. It's about under 50%, just because I don't want it to sound too muddy. Like I want the vocals to still be pretty prominent in the mix. And then there's some reverb on it as well, but not as much. On the verse, I'm using a long reverb. I'm sending that into my long reverb return track. And I'm also using a little bit of delay on top of the delay that's in Nectar, just to kind of give it more of a dynamic sound and to, have it like bouncing. I like that. I like using that with my vocals, because a lot of the times, vocals are like the foreground of a song. But with mine, I like my vocals to be more used as like an instrument. So it's kind of, it's not so tight. It's spacey. I feel like it's just, it goes along with like all the other instruments I'm using within the song. And so that's pretty much how I treat my vocals in most of my songs. Yeah, I do. I feel like it's like not the right way. Like I feel like people are like, no, like the vocals are, the prominent part of the song that it's in the foreground. But with me, I'm just like, I'm gonna kind of, not do it that way. And like I said, keep it more of like an ethereal kind of sound. I really like, mainly reverbs and delay. That's how I'm treating most of my vocals, and also I'm EQing it so that I'm taking all of the lows out. And I mean, if you hear it with, here, let me play this for you. This is, just kind of with a high pass. But if you take, and that kind of also gives it that spacey sound. But if I were to take that out, it sounds, doesn't have that effect anymore. So that's what I do on most of my vocals as well, is I take out all the lows and I really accentuate the highs and the mids. How I go about turning the music I've produced into a live set is I export all the stems into like 4 or 5 groups. So I have my drum group, my synth group, my bass group, my vocal group, and my guitar group. And then from there, I crop each sample into 16-bar loops, and then I put that into live session, and I do follow actions. So I set up each group to have a follow action to play the next track after 16 bars. So that way, my songs are playing on my APC. And then I have a bigger group for the subgroups, and that is the I guess my songs playing. And then I have another group of just all the MIDI that I can improvise on top of that. And so, that's what I'm doing with the Launchpad. And then I have a track for my guitar and my microphone, and from there I'm, when a song requires me to play the guitar, I have like a break within the song, so I can like pick up my guitar and do the guitar bits. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just improvising on top of songs and playing the guitar when it needs to be played.
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the Sound on Sound YouTube channel, or subscribe to the magazine, available in print, on our website, or on tablet. Thanks for watching.